Miss Lizzie. I don't ever smoke the dizzy, but we can always share some ditsies. It's just a cup in time. This song doesn't have to rhyme. Life's all of us, not every moment we can be feeling fine. I wanna share a moment, just a second if you will, maybe even a cup of thrill. We could share this performance. It's tea time, come sit with me.
Well, welcome guys. Miss Liz is back in the house, and we had an incredible afternoon with a lot of chuckles and giggles with Mandy. Now we have Edwina in the house, and we're going to share her tea. And her tea tonight is Advocate, Faithful, and Committed. And we're going to also talk about her book, The Color of Home. And it's a really good book because I really looked deep into this book, and it's got a really strong message, so I really want to get it out there. But before we get started, you guys know how Miss Liz rolls. Get over to all those platforms: Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, Alignable, all those good platforms, Blue Sky, Yellow Notes, Clapper, Lemonade, all those good platforms. And jump over to the podcast apps: Podbean, Listen Notes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Deezer, Apple Radio, Apple Podcasts, all those good platforms. And the ones I haven't mentioned, Miss Liz is on all of those. If you do notice that the guests are on those platforms, give them a like, follow, and subscribe, because that's how we do make a difference, by supporting one another. Also, jump over to babyboomers.org. Miss Liz has been partnering with them for almost 4 years. And if you're looking to be featured on different podcasts, there's 50 plus podcast shows that are over there. And they're always looking for guests that are willing to serve you as well and get your stuff out there. So jump over to babyboomers.org, give them a like, follow, subscribe, and check out all those platforms that Ms. Liz has just mentioned. And let's get started with disclaimer and then beautiful intro. And let's get Edwina in here. She got me to pronounce it so that I could get it right. And we're going to serve a good, strong tea and have some fun with you guys tonight. So disclaimer for Miss Liz's Tea Time live show. Miss Liz's Tea Time is a global platform dedicating to sharing real life stories, diverse perspectives, and meaningful conversations that inspire awareness, healing, and connection. Miss Liz is going live using StreamYard. Before leaving a comment during the live broadcast, please grant StreamYard permission to display your name at StreamYard.com. Please be advised that all the content brought forward during any Tea Time show is presented in good faith. However, discussions may include opinions, beliefs, and perspectives that do not necessarily represent the views of Miss Liz or the Tea Time platform. Information shared by guests is based on their own experiences and is perceived to be accurate at the given time of airing. All guests, viewers, and participants are responsible for using their own good judgment when considering any action or decision that may relate to these discussions. Some episodes may cover sensitive topics, including but not limited to trauma, abuse, grief, mental health, and other emotionally triggering subjects. Listeners' and viewers' discretion is strongly advised. Tea Time with Miss Liz is an open discussion forum designed to offer insight, inspire awareness, and create connection. It is not a substitute for professional, medical, legal, or therapeutical advice. If you require professional support, please seek assistance from qualified professionals or trusted resources in your area. If you have any questions regarding this disclaimer or the content of this discussion, you are welcome to contact me, aka Miss Liz, directly at my email at bookingmissliz@gmail.com, or visit my link tree at Miss Liz's Tea Time. By choosing to participate in, comment on, or view these live shows, you acknowledge and accept this disclaimer. Your participation is entirely voluntary. I, Miss Liz, welcomes you to join the conversation with an open heart, and if at any time you feel this platform is not right for you, I respect your wishes and decision and welcome you back whenever you are ready. Tea Time with Miss Liz is serving truth and awareness one cup at a time. Well, welcome to Tea Time with Miss Liz, where every conversation reminds us that stories can open doors, challenge assumptions, and create space for voices that deserve to be heard. Today, we are honored to welcome Edwina Perkins, award-winning writer, editor, speaker, mentor, and passionate advocate for authentic and diverse storytelling within faith-based publishing. Edwina serves as the managing editor of Hamilby Press and co-director of the Blue Ridge Mountains Christian Writing Conference. Through her work as an editor, mentor, authentic consultant, and publishing leader, she helps writers strengthen their voices, honor the truth within their stories, and create work that reflects the richness of real human experiences. Her content contemporary novel, The Color of Home, explores faith, identity, community, belonging, and the complicated spaces between where we come from and where we call to grow. Edwina understands that authentic storytelling requires more than talent. It requires courage, compassion, careful listening, and a willingness to make room at the table for experiences that have too often been overlooked. Three words that share her story are faithful, empowering, and inspiring. Her T, teach with wisdom and grace, empower voices to rise and be heard, equipped writers to fulfill their purpose. And today we'll explore the inspiration behind the color of home, faith, identity, and the meaning of belonging, champion diverse voices in Christian publishing, writing authentic characters and experiences, membership, mentorship, editing, and helping writers discover their purpose, how meaningful stories can build understanding and transform hearts. Edwina reminds us that publishing is not only about placing words on a page. It is about creating spaces where truth is respected, voices are valued, and readers are invited to see the world through another person's eyes. So grab your favorite cup and join us for an inspiring conversation filled with faith, authenticity, purpose, and real-life tea, truth, experience, and awareness. And let me get Edwina in here, and I'm going to get her by the end of the show. So let me get her in here and let's spill some tea together and have some fun.
You're not the only one who's had trouble
Edwina.
with my name. I thank you for having me on the show.
Edwina, did I get that correct?
Most of the time you got it correct.
And then I went back, right? I went back and I was just like, oh, I catch myself. And I'm just like, no, not that way.
Well, you know how you can remember it? Think
Oh.
Ed and then Weena.
Edwina. There we go. So everybody, there we go. Well, Edwina, tell us a little bit about who you are, who you were as a little girl and who you are now as an older lady.
I, as a little girl, I have a twin brother. So I used to say, why talk when I have my twin brother? He was outgoing, I was introverted, and we couldn't be more opposite. So I always loved reading. But when I hit the 8th grade, it was like something exploded in me. And that summer, I think I read between 35 and 40 books. I just wanted to go to the library, grab books, and rotated them the next week. I'd beg my mom, can we go to the library? And she's like, you couldn't have finished all those books. Yes, I have. So even then, I feel like I was creating and creative. So me as a little girl, very quiet, very shy. Me as an adult, still love to read. But when I'm passionate about something, I can speak up.
I love it. Because, that's where we have to speak up, is where the passion is, right?
Right.
Absolutely. Well, Edwina, am I saying it right? Did I get it right? Did I get it right? I'm going to celebrate if I get it right by the end of the show.
Edwina.
Edwina, tell us a little bit about what got you into writing stories and how old you were when you started.
I believe it or not, I was 4th grade when I started writing.
Oh.
I had been homesick. I did not like missing school, and my poor dad was stuck with me. And I kept saying, I'm bored. Dad, do something with me. I'm bored. And he said, sit down and write a poem. Why? He's like, why not? And then maybe you'll stop bugging me. I still have that first little poem I wrote. And from then on, I started writing. And when I hit the 8th grade, I had a teacher. I shout out to teachers for sure. I had a teacher who allowed me to do my book report about a book I was writing as a 14-year-old. I still have all 300 handwritten pages. And I got an A on the book report, but she said, Edwina's going to do a book report on what she's writing. So I've always written poetry. I like writing story. And I would even encourage those who feel like they have a story in them, just go ahead and write it. No one can write it like you.
Absolutely, right? And that was one thing that I found and on your site, and it says everyone has a story. Tell it. No, where am I going? I have it here. Miss Liz, every writer carries a story worth telling on your site. So,
Exactly.
so when you put that on your site, what message were you sending to everybody?
The message, like it says, everyone has a story to tell, but a deeper message is don't be afraid to tell it. There is that, there's going to be that little person or something eating you going, no one's going to want to hear me. No one's going to want to know my story. But there's an audience that's waiting to hear your words. And only you can write it that way. So don't be, you know, discouraged. You will be if you're a writer, but get in a community who will support you and just move forward. So that's why I say everyone, should be able to tell their story.
Absolutely. And another thing I found on your site was tell it with truth and tell it with courage. Those
Yes.
are two powerful statements right there because that's getting the story out.
Mhm. It is.
So I'm going to bring your book up and we're going to talk a little bit about the book. If you just like to share a little bit about the cover and all that, and then we can tell all the good news that has been happening with this book.
The cover, the whole idea is you have this family who is moving into small town North Carolina. I want you to look closely because a lot of people don't recognize this. Destiny is the license plate. That's the little girl, and it has a double meaning. Destiny is the place where they're going. Destiny is the little girl's name. And if you look over in the corner, you'll see unity. And as they go into this town, there is not initially going to be unity at all. There's going to be struggle. There's going to be hard times. But it's that tell your story and tell it with courage that comes out. So that's why the cover is there. A lot of people may go, oh, it's about a fall story. No, the colors of home represents more than what you see on that cover. It represents what's going on in the town, small town North Carolina. It represents how we view ourselves. So color carries a very strong and multiple meaning.
Absolutely. And that's why I always ask all my guests what their favorite color is because it tells me a little bit about themselves as well. You know, when I seen the orange and the yellows blends in here, I knew that it was about rebuilding because
Mhm.
that's what fall is about, right? It falls to rebuild for the spring. So I knew there was some form of rebuilding in there. A lot of people don't understand that about fall colors, but that's what fall means, right? We're
Right.
falling to rebuild ourselves.
Oh, that is so perfect what you just said. I'm going to steal that from you. Um,
You go ahead, girl. You take that because a lot of people when they look at an image, they don't look deep into the image. And I say this to all my listeners out there: when you're looking at a book cover that I bring to tea time, look deep in that cover because it tells the mini story of the story that's in the book. You know,
exactly.
most authors will have their designers create the mini story on the top, and then they want you to open that cover to get into the big story.
That is so true. And that's why I was pointing out the license tag or license plate and then the word in the corner, because that's pulling you in to what the book is going to be about. So
So tell
yeah,
us a little. Go ahead.
now I was going to say I agree with you. You're going to love having me because I'll probably agree with you a lot. But I
I just
agree
know
that
that your book is worth getting out there because it has so much about today's world in there. It has about the race and the redemption, the courage, the rebuilding, the story of finding home, even when people say it's not home for us. That's the strong message that your book has. So the story you say the license plate is Destiny. I noticed that right away, but I didn't know that about the little girl being called Destiny.
Mhm.
So tell us a little bit about Destiny.
Destiny is going to steal your heart. She's 13 years old and she has Down syndrome. And her perspective on the world is just beautiful. When you first meet her, you can tell that Ebony, her mom, says she is someone who brokenness can be fixed so quickly in her world. So there was an argument in the car. She checked with her brother to see if he was okay. And he kind of went, yeah. She goes, okay. So she turns away and she's hugging her favorite pillow, which is a ladybug. And Destiny will do things. There can be tension going on. There was one scene where the mom, Ebony, the son, Owen, and the son, Scotty, there was tension in the car. And they kind of weren't speaking with each other. And when Destiny was looking out the window and she just simply said, if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. And that is Destiny.
Ioana, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can. You're just a little frozen, but I can still hear you. So
Okay.
we're going to have some glitches tonight for all the listeners out there, but we're still here and we're still going to have this tea time and we're going to serve a strong one to you guys. We do have some questions coming in. Can you hear me asking the questions?
I absolutely can.
Okay, so let's get to this question that just came in from Strategy Show. What does writing with purpose personally mean to you?
Writing with purpose means you realize that there's an audience and you're going to write toward that audience. I tell other writers, you just don't write because you have something to say. You have an audience who needs what you have to say. And it's a different perspective because if you look at it that way and you stop and go, what does my audience need from me? It'll make you stop and think versus what do I want to tell you? So writing with purpose is you have to ask yourself several questions. Why are you writing? Who is your audience? And what will they gain from what you've written? So that's the idea of writing with purpose. Now you can just, write anything. You can journal, you can have fun writing, but writing with purpose means you're going to take it somewhere. You're going to take it to that next level.
Well, the next question we have for you is from Rochelle, and it's what first inspired Edwina? I'm going to get it tonight, I swear. Edwina to dedicate her life to helping other writers. People help me here.
I think what inspired me, especially working with writers in the marginalized communities, is with the first book that I was pitching. I call it my shelf baby. Someone actually said to me, I don't know where we would find an audience for you. Now, all the characters in my first book, my shelf baby, were ethnic. And to have someone in the publishing house say that to me, I thought, okay, I need to back up and understand this industry a little bit more. And as I began to understand, I thought, we need representation of writers of not just color, but those who are dealing with mental issues or physical issues are in the margins. And we need that. And so when I started, I guess God started pulling that tug on my heart and gave me opportunities to help other writers. And that's what I did. And I call it, I launched them. I helped them to understand the industry. I gave them information. I taught them the things that I had learned. And I was a resource. And that is my passion. I I homeschooled for 19 years.
Oh,
And then I went into the Christian school for 2 years. And I felt like I was being called out. And I was teaching math. People thought I was crazy. But I just had this feeling that God was going to use the writing in my life. And when I stepped away from teaching, I was like, okay, now what? And it took about 6 months, and I started getting clients to do editing for. And oh, Miss Liz, I so remember I was editing a project. I stopped with my hands over the keys, and I went, God, I could do this for the rest of my life. And what I meant by that is I can help writers for the rest of my life, because there's nothing more than seeing a writer step into their purpose.
absolutely. You know, and writers don't get enough acknowledgement, and they don't get enough appraisal for the hard work that they go through. You know, writing a story takes a lot of courage and a lot of energy as well, because depending on the story and the structure of the story, the plots, the timing, you know, the length of the story as well. There's so much that goes into a book that nobody seems to understand the back of the book. If that,
Exactly.
you know, and that's why I love having authors on Tea Time, because there's so much work that goes into it, so much heart, so much purpose, you know, that goes into all of these stories that come to the table.
Oh, I so agree.
Edwina, I'm just going to get you to turn your camera off and turn it back on and see if we can get you unfrozen, because you're frozen and I'd like to see your beautiful smile. So let's just try to get your camera off and then turn it back on.
Okay.
Nope, you're still frozen. I wonder
Yeah.
why you're frozen.
I wondered that too.
You just look like you're off to a boxing match.
Well, you can always see that of me.
She's passionate about the writing, guys.
Oh my gosh. Shoot. Let me see if that will do it. No, it's still not showing me.
Yeah, you look like you're off to box a match. Well, you know what? We'll just leave it, because we can hear you and we can get the story out there. We'll just keep popping off and on like that. Maybe just get your screen on and off until and that, because I don't want to restart anything, because we're having a really good conversation here. Edwina, I want to talk to you about all the different roles that you have, because there's a comment that came in here. From Jeffrey, and it says, it's wonderful seeing someone who wears so many hats: author, editor, mentor, and educator, all in service of others. Out of all of those service, which one holds the deepest passion for you?
Mentoring.
And can you tell us
Really,
why?
mentoring. Can you still hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay. The reason I love to mentor is when I see an author, a writer come to me with that, I have no idea what I'm doing. And then I start seeing them understanding the writing process, and they grow. I tell them I want to work myself out of a job. And that's the whole idea, is when they can embrace what is their passion and be able to tell the story that is their story, whether fiction or nonfiction. I love that. And that's the teacher side of me that I believe God brings out, because when I was a teacher and even teaching my kids, it was that aha moment that I would love seeing. And when I have someone I'm working with and they've got that aha moment, and quite frequently they'll say, I get ready to do something and I hear you in my head. And I'm like, yeah, that's a good thing, because it means you were learning.
Absolutely. You know, and even the listeners are saying there's a network issue. So you know what? As long as you guys can hear us and you're enjoying the conversation, thank you for tuning in. You know, there's sometimes glitches, right? And that's what we have to do when we have a live show, is that there's glitches in between, but we still carry on with the show. We have another question here for you, Edwina, and it's which role has taught you the most, author, editor, or mentor?
taught me the most as far as the writing, or taught me the most as far as working with people?
Oh, good question there. Maybe give us an answer for both of those.
Okay. As far as working with people, I would say being the author. Because it's in that role that I think people are most vulnerable. And as a writer, as an author myself, it's a position of being vulnerable. And I learned with this book, I tell people, when your book is edited, it's like you have waited all this time, 9+ months, and you finally give birth. And you think this child is the most beautiful child in the world. But then your child is taken away by the nurses, and they're cleaned up and they're checked out by the doctor. Well, that's your editor and that's your line editor. And you're like, just give me my baby. And they give you back a baby that's just beautiful. Now everyone can see the beauty of that child. And so as an author, you have to be able to be vulnerable.
Absolutely.
And then, what were the three again?
Let me find that question. The question was teacher, author, or mentor? No, author, editor, or mentor.
Okay, in the industry, I would say editing. And mainly because as an editor myself, I've been a managing editor where I reviewed books. The industry, I hope I don't get in trouble with this, is predominantly, I'll just say it. You have white individuals who are in charge of the industry. And so what I discovered as an editor is I can help someone with their book. But if they end up with someone who doesn't understand the culture, then they may edit out some of who that person is. So I've gone to bat for people like that when they have come back to me and said, well, they took this out. And I'm like, no, that's part of who you are. They just don't understand your culture. And so as an editor, that is what I've been trying to teach people in the industry. I have spoken with groups of editors and just explained, you may need a sensitivity reader. Even as an editor, you may need a sensitivity reader because you're going to edit people's books, manuscripts, and you don't understand where they're coming from.
And that's something that we should be talking about is, when we're going to publishers or editors or stuff like that, when they don't understand the culture, they have a hard time understanding the story sometimes. So they'll try to remove things because they don't understand it, right? Because they haven't lived it. They haven't experienced it. It's like I always say to people, don't tell a story if you haven't lived it because you're doing more damage. And I think in the writing industry, we need to bring those to the table as well, is right. Don't take away our story because you don't understand the culture.
Absolutely. And that's when I say, bring someone in from the culture, have someone read it. It's so important. The first book that was published under Harambe, and I know you were like, what is this word?
I'm sure you're going to tell me. That's how we learn. That's what I love tea time about, because I always learn something.
Well, the meaning of the word it's Swahili. Okay. And one meaning is a coming together. But if you look deeper, it means a pulling together. And that's what we're going to have to do in the industry is we're going to have to pull together, work together, talk together in order to make our writing richer and have more influences with our audience. And it's when we don't work together, there is that, you can see the rift, there's a separation. And so when someone is editing a book and they don't understand the culture, it's okay to admit you don't know what you don't know. And I say the same with writers. If they're writing about a culture outside of their own, then they need assistance.
Yeah.
Don't put something in a book that you think you know, because you're probably leaning toward a stereotype. And you don't
Absolutely.
want to do that. And it's a difference in, I mean, you can write that story, but you'll be hurting a whole community.
Exactly. That's exactly what I mean, right, Edwina? Because when we talk about something we haven't lived, we're causing more damage. We're causing more of that stigma and division, because we're writing something that we think we know, but we really don't know, or we really haven't experienced it. So how dare we speak about it, and how dare we write about it?
Exactly. And at the same time, you can't expect one person from that community to understand and speak for everyone. I've done a lot of sensitivity reading, and when someone brings something to me about a person of color that I have no understanding of their community, I will let them know.
Yeah.
It's like, I can't speak to someone who is from the islands. But I have a sensitivity reader who grew up in Jamaica, and I will see if she has time to do it. So I do try to place people with others who have shared with me they want to do it, be a sensitivity reader. And what's important, if you look for someone, is make sure you vet who it is. It's something that, I mean, you can go on the internet and find them, and they're going to be dirt cheap, and you're going to get what you pay for. But most have experience in the industry, and the whole idea is, it's not editing, it's communicating. A sensitivity reader does not sit there and tear your book apart.
Yeah.
Their role is to say, hey, let's talk about this one issue. Let me tell you how it could be offensive.
Yeah.
And it's educating, and it's a back and forth education. Because I've had someone, when I went, okay, I'm not sure this is going to work, but when they explained what they were doing, I went, okay, now that makes sense. And, you know, for me to say, well, I am so sorry, go find someone else, that's ridiculous. It's like, okay, let's work this through.
Yeah. Absolutely, you know, because by you being upfront and transparent with that person, you're giving them the opportunity to share and open
Yes.
up.
Exactly. And it's great. You've got to be vulnerable enough to say, I don't know what I don't know.
Exactly. But we have a couple more questions here. So the next one is in from Kyle, and it's, what advice would you give to someone writing their very first manuscript?
Get it on paper. The very first thing I would say is write. Just write. Now, if you're writing with a different culture in mind, get help so someone can guide you along the way, so you're not going to be making the same mistakes. But if not, put it on paper. I used to, my son, when he was in college, would send me his papers to edit. Of course he would. So one night he called me and he said, well, Mom, could you edit this paper for me? And I said, well, sure. When's it due? Tomorrow. And I was like, excuse me? So he sent me a page, and I thought, oh, this will be easy to edit. I edited it, sent it back, and then he sends me another page. And I'm like, well, I wouldn't have said everything I said in the first page if you had sent me both of them. So I went back, made some corrections, sent both back, and he sends me a third page. And I finally said to my son, you have to throw it up before I can clean it up. So what I say to first-time writers, you have to throw it up. Do not try to edit as you write. Be willing to just, get it down, forget those misspelled words, forget the fragments, because what you're doing is you're telling a story that only you can write.
Yeah.
There's editors, there's other people who can help you clean it up, but there's no one who can write like you.
Absolutely. And that's how we get the stories out there, right? Is we just dump it. When I first started they told me just dump the garbage. And you're like saying, throw it out, just dump it out, and we'll work with it later. Let's just get the main story out there, because when you're worrying about editing, when you're writing, you're taking away from the story, because then you're starting to try and make it perfected instead
Yes.
of just letting the flow come with it. Just spill the tea and make a mess and just let it come out, but if you don't make a mess, how do you clean anything? How do you give anything to an editor? How do you work with the next person if you're fixing everything?
Exactly. And what I have found when working with writers is that they go, well, where do I start? What do I do? And I'm like, you're right. You're a writer, just write. And to be able to say that and to, get it on paper. I can't emphasize that enough. Get
Absolutely.
it on the page. As the saying goes, you can't edit a blank page.
Absolutely.
And write. And I have a friend who used to say, when they were writing, they would have these two little people, one on each shoulder. And one was the creative shoulder and one was the edit. So the creative would just be pouring things out and he'd be typing away. And then the editor would go, now, that was a sentence fragment. You didn't punctuate that correctly. And he'll turn to that shoulder seriously and he'll go, shh, you'll get your turn.
Yeah.
And so he shuts the editor down and lets the creative write.
Edwina, I want to bring up your book again, because you said the word unity is in there.
Yes.
Is it above your name? Where am I finding this word?
You see destiny?
Yes.
I'm grabbing the book to make sure I'm telling you correctly. If you look under destiny and go left.
Oh, I see it.
See? That's unity.
See, sometimes you just need that little direction.
I know. Well, when I was talking with the publisher and we're about to design it, we went back and forth. And her first idea, I thought, okay, I kind of like that, but I don't like this. And it's just like with any other, book cover, you're usually not happy with the first one. But she knew the story. She knew that this family was moving. And when we landed on this, she said, you saw the license plate. And I said, yeah, I think that's cool. She said the same thing. Look on the left bumper. And I almost cried because this is part of the story. And you may know this from looking at it, but it's not one that's going to be tied up in a nice bow. There are real issues in this. There are real hurts. And I feel for my main character, but I am seeing her grow. And that's the thing with the unity. This community eventually will need to come together more than not.
Absolutely.
Are they going to totally get it? No.
So what is the message you want the readers to get from this book?
You can work through grief, but don't try to work through it alone. You need to find where your community is. One of the things, now this is a backstory, because all authors have to have that backstory as you write. There's a scene that's still in my mind of Ebony with her husband, who is, okay, a little bit of a spoiler, dying. This is the backstory. And as she is sitting with him at the hospital, she says, I just want you to come home. And he takes her face and he says, Ebony, home is not for walls. It's arms willing to embrace you. And that is the message I want people to understand, is home is not a place with four walls. Sometimes family is not, doesn't feel like home or family to you, but you find that community and you let them embrace you. I call it ugly tears and all, where you can just be real.
Absolutely. And that's what we need is realness in the world today. You know, real conversations, real connection, real writing, you know, and putting
Yes.
it to the paper and letting the next person help you along the way. It's like raising a child. You need a community to raise a child.
Yes.
You need a community to raise a book, you know. So let's talk a little bit about who you've worked with for the book, like who did the cover, who published it. Tell us a little bit about those people.
Okay, so my publisher is Dressed in Love Press, and I worked with her. I am very blessed to work with a publisher who's also an artist. You don't see that a lot. And how we ended up connecting, and this is what I call full circle. When I was teaching at a conference, the CEO of Dressed in Love Press, Catherine Hutchinson Hayes, met with me and wanted me to review her book because I was looking for books to publish. Well, I reviewed some of her writing and I thought, okay, she's writing like a new writer, but she's telling a good story. I gave her some suggestions, and this doesn't often happen, but the very next year she came back to the same conference and she showed me her work. And I thought, she's serious. That went on for a couple of years. And then I introduced her to this incredible mentor, Cease Murphy. And Cease started working with her. And when she finished her book, I was trying to help her find an agent. And I had tried to get her published in the house I was working with at that point. And they just thought it was a little too edgy because it's working with CIA and all of that.
Yeah.
And so then I tried to get her with another company that I was working with. And they were like, well, and finally I said to her, if I have to learn how to be an agent, I will, just to see you get your book published. Okay, here's the full circle. She started a publishing house and she published my book. And that's the connection of how we got together. And I felt like for the longest, and this is something else I would encourage writers, you need to be careful. When you finish a manuscript, don't run to the first place you can and say, publish my book. Sometimes you need to wait.
Yep.
And it's like with that book baby I have, it wasn't time. It also dealt with issues, but it wasn't time. And that's how I started writing this one. I learned, I cut my teeth on that book. Your first book may not get published, but you will learn to write. And so when you're thinking of publishing, take your time, don't rush, step away from the manuscript, even up to 3 months, then go back, review it, and then start looking for where you can publish. I had this book for over 10 years and never felt that I had found the right place to publish it until Catherine told me about her publishing house. And I said, I think that's where I'm supposed to publish. And that's how we connected. We had already built a relationship and a friendship. So that's how I got involved with her.
And I say this a lot, right? Build a relationship before you build the profit, right? Get to know people and do the research. And I'm glad that you guys made a full circle because Catherine's going to be coming on Tea Time again. She's been on Tea Time a couple of times. And I can't wait to talk to her again because she's grown over the years. Yes. And her book is a deep book. But this is how the full circle works in the writing world and in the media world and community world, right? Is we all have to build that relationship first.
We do. And need to understand that those of us who are writers, or work in the publishing industry will often say it's a small world. And if you start burning bridges, other people will smell the smoke.
Absolutely.
So build the relationships, because other people in the industry will smell the fragrance.
Absolutely. And it is a small world. And when you get into that world of writing and publishing and podcasting and stuff like that, make sure that you're building a relationship with your guest as well, not just have content, right?
Exactly.
This bugs me a lot with podcasting world, is where people are just making content, but they're not actually building that relationship with their guests. They're not staying connected with them, and they're not asking them what's your plans in the future. Will I see you in 5 years again? Will you return to my show again? We really got to start having those conversations as well. We have a couple more questions here that are coming in, and I do know that you're trying your camera from time to time, so I appreciate that as well. The next question that came in is there one story you edited that has stayed with you for years?
Other than Catherine's book, there have been a number of books. They're usually true stories. When I'm working with writers and their books and their true stories, and I will mention this. The first one that we published under Harambe Press was about a gentleman who, for all reasons, he should have been dead. And the reason I say that is he came out of see, I'm doing what you're doing. Cambodia.
It's catchy, isn't it?
And the story he told, how many times he should have been dead, and God brought him out. As a young man, as a young boy, he ended up being a pastor in California. Those are the stories that make me go, wow. But I also love fiction. And there's one particular person who has not published yet, but I have worked with him on, 3 different books. And they're romance they have, and I don't write romance. Sorry, readers, I'm not a romance reader, unless I have to be. But I will read his. He's like Nicholas Sparks. I will read this young man's writing. And I keep telling him, you've got to get these books published, because his stories stick with me. So when you ask, are there stories I've edited? I've got a couple right now that the stories are going to stick with me. I already know it. One is a woman who survived genocide in South Africa. Another one who has lived through extreme trauma and is dealing with different personality identities.
Yeah, and personality disorders.
That's it. As I am working with her, I have to take time and step back. And I know this book is going to be powerful. It's already impacted me. So there's something, when you ask, is there a book that sticks with you? There's more than one. And that's Absolutely. About telling that story, being truthful, being vulnerable. Because your readers will know that, whether you are or whether you're not.
Absolutely. Edwina, I want to see if we can get you on the screen for the last 10 minutes. If you just want to sign out and sign back in, I want to see if that's going to make a difference.
I wondered about that.
Let's just try that, because I'd like to close up with seeing your face.
Okay. I'm going to sign.
So she's just going to pop out really quick, and she's going to pop right back in, and we're going to see if that works. I really like to see my guest's face. When I see a black screen, I feel like something's missing from the show. I really appreciate everybody that's tuning in and joining in and bringing your questions, because it does make a difference, and it does show the guest in that as well, that you're entertained with what's coming to the table. So we will get these questions out there as soon as she gets back in. I guarantee you guys, she will come back and we'll see her beautiful smile, and we'll get that out to you. But until she gets back, keep this book on alert. The Colors of Home. It's a contemporary novel. It's a really good book. It shares about race, redemption, courage, rebuilding, not wanting them, and becoming a part of a community that doesn't want them in their community. So let's see if we can get her in here, and let's see if this works. I'm going to see if that worked.
Yay!
I can see you. You're still frozen, but at least you're not. No, you're moving. I can see you. Look at that. We got her back. So we got a couple questions, and I just wanted to get you to answer them, and then we're gonna do a wrap up. But I wanted to get these out there. What has been the most rewarding part of serving at the Blue Ridge Mountains Christian Writers Conference?
Oh, the most reward. Now I'm gonna sound redundant, but working with writers. And being able to give them direction, and sometimes it's just sitting down and talking with them. I love writers. Now, I am a natural introvert, but you put me in a room full of writers, you'd never know I was an introvert, because I want to meet you. I want to know why you started writing. I want to encourage you. That is the most rewarding part. And when someone comes to me or the other directors and they go, let me tell you how Blue Ridge has impacted my life, that is the most rewarding part. Knowing that what we're doing matters and we're helping writers achieve what they want to achieve.
Edwina, I think it's your camera that's causing an effect, because now we have a really bad sound. I just want to see if you turn your camera off again and turn it back on and see what happens there. Let's just give that a try. No.
Okay, what if, hold on.
It might be the connection on your end.
It's still bad sound?
Yeah, it's really bad sound, and I don't want to give you bad content for your book. So let's mute you, and let's see if you sign out and sign in real quick again, and we're going to get it. We're going to get it. I'm not giving up on you.
All right. I will see you momentarily.
Okay. She's going to pop right back in. I do not want to put out bad content for all of you listeners out there, because you are showing up on time. Again, check out the book, The Colors of Home. Check out for the little license plate. Destiny is there. She shared a little bit about the story. Let's see if we can get her in here. Oh boy.
Better.
It's really staticky. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's the connection where you are. Are you having a storm where you are?
Not right now, but we have had a lot of storms.
It was good when we first started, and then now the sound is just like popping in and out. We had better when it was just a black screen, but I want to see your face. So you know what? We got 7 minutes left. We're gonna tough it out, and all the listeners out there, we're gonna tough it out, because we got a good message to get out here. So the next question we have for you is: has mentoring a new writer ever changed your own perspective on storytelling?
Yes, because I learned from them as much as they learned from me. And there's different ways that, because every writer writes differently, and I have learned, I have observed how they write. I love their voices. So yes, working with other writers influences me as far as learning. You always have to be working on the craft. It's not it's a one and done. I read this book, now I can write a book. But you're always growing. And for me to be working with writers helps me to grow.
So what is your final message to everybody tonight? I'm going to get the final message from you, and then we're going to jump into your tea really quick before we leave. And then we're going to wrap it up, and we're going to start August.
Oh, gosh. Okay, my message is be brave and write. Be brave and write.
And Edwina, can you tell us where we can get these amazing books and where people can find you?
EdwinaPerkins.com is where you can find me, and you can also order from my website, or you can also go to Amazon and Goodreads. Those are the two best places I would say go check out the book.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me tonight on Tea Time. I really appreciate sitting with you and having you for tea. I'm going to pull up your book again one more time, The Color of Home. Check out this book. Grab your copies. It is out now. It is a #1 bestseller, correct?
Yes, when it came out, yes.
So be sure to grab your copies. Thank you so much, Edwina, for joining me tonight on Tea Time. I'm just going to put you on mute while I do a wrap up of what tonight's Tea Time was. And I'll see everybody in August for 16 new amazing guests that are coming to the table. So what a meaningful and empowering conversation we have shared today. Edwina, thank you for bringing your wisdom, faith, compassion, and purposeful leadership to the Tea Time table. Today's conversation reminded us that authentic storytelling does not need to entertain. It helps people feel recognized. It challenges stereotypes. It creates understanding. It reminds readers that their lives, cultures, struggles, and dreams are worthy of being represented with honesty and care. Through the color of home and your work throughout the publishing community, you continue to create room for diverse voices while equipping writers to tell their stories with confidence, integrity, and purpose. We explored faith, identity, community, mentorship, publishing, and the responsibility we carry when telling stories that reflect experiences beyond our own. One of tonight's greatest takeaways is this. When we create space for every voice to be heard, stories become bridges that carry us beyond assumptions and into understanding. Edwina, thank you for your journey of reminding us that editors and mentors do more than improve manuscripts. They nurture voices, they protect authenticity, and they help writers believe their stories belong in the world. As we close tonight's Tea Time, I'd like to leave everyone with this thought. Whose story might remain unheard unless someone chooses to open the door, pull out a chair, and make room for their voice? True inclusion is not simply inviting people into an existing space. It is listening deeply enough to allow their presence, experiences, and truth to help shape that space. Edwina, thank you for teaching with grace, empowering voices to rise, and equipping writers to fulfill their purpose within their stories. Until next time, continue writing with truth, continue making room for authentic voices, and continue serving real-life tea, truth, experience, and awareness, one courageous story at a time. And tonight's takeaway from Miss Liz is authentic stories transform hearts because they allow us to recognize both the difference and share humanity within one another. When every voice is valued, literature becomes more than words on a page. It becomes a home where people can finally see themselves reflected. Thank you all for joining me on Tea Time, and we'll do this all over again. And thank you so much, Edwina, for joining me on Tea Time. And we will see everybody. August 3rd will be the first Tea Time. So check out the press release for August lineup has been released as of yesterday. Check out Miss Liz's Facebook page. And we do have a rescheduled Tea Time from July that is going to be on August 5th. With Thea Panglis from Days of Our Lives. So you'll get to hear his story as well. So thank you so much, Edwina. Thank you, everybody, for joining in tonight. I could not do this without all of you guys, and we'll do this all over again. Keep sharing your tea and keep being true to you.